I told Pete we should use some of these dangerous cities as training grounds for our military, National Guard, but military, because we're going into Chicago very soon. That's a big city with an incompetent governor, stupid governor, stupid. They threw him out of his family business. He was so stupid. He's always up there saying, we're in very good shape. We don't need the military. No, they need the military desperately.
Joining me now here in Chicago is Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, the aforementioned. It's good to have you here.
Good to be here. Glad to have you in town.
Well, you've been going back and you haven't been going back and forth. The president has been threatening and then seeming to retreat from, and then once again, it seemed today, threatening. He basically said, we're going to go in soon. Was that news to you to hear that today?
No, because yesterday we received notice that the Department of Homeland Security had sent a notice to the Department of War that they would like to have 100 troops sent to the Chicago. They didn't say exactly what they'd be doing other than protecting ICE facilities and maybe ICE personnel. They didn't say where they would get the 100 personnel from, the 100 troops, but we know that the president has had this on his mind for quite some time. Apparently, we're living rent-free in his head. I'm
going to ask you a similar question what I asked the mayor, and it's based on the conversation that he had with the governor of Oregon, Governor Kotek, about this, where apparently they had a conversation where she said, hey, that was 5-year-old B-roll. The thing they're showing you on Fox News is not, just so you know, it's not actually happening. Is there an opportunity to have a phone conversation with the person who doesn't seem to me to actually know what's actually happening?
No, he doesn't actually read anything, as you know. He doesn't seem to listen to anybody. And if you just looked at what's happened to our crime rates across the city of Chicago, frankly, they've been cut in half. I mean, in every violent crime that you can think of, in every category, we've done better and better and better. And indeed, look, always crime is an issue in any city across America. But things are so much better here, especially every year for the last 4 years, we've made serious progress. And now he says he wants to send troops in because crime is out of control. It's ridiculous. He calls Chicago a hellhole. The guy hasn't been to Chicago. He really has no idea what's going on here. And is there the ability to communicate? Well, gee whiz, we're all over TV showing him what Chicago looks like and telling him what Chicago is and what's happening here. And he's just got it in his head, just like with Portland, some picture in his head. Remember 2016, where essentially the people of Chicago showed up to tell him, get out of town. We don't even want you here. Right. And I think that is stuck in his head, and he hates Chicago for that reason.
I want to ask you about what's been going on at the Broadview ICE facility, which is here in your state. It's been the staging ground for the stepped-up ICE enforcement. And there have been protests there. There have also been responses to the protests. I'm going to show you just a little bit from the local CBS package about an ICE agent essentially appears to be, I think, firing non-lethal rounds in the direction of this reporter. Take a listen.
An ICE agent that was masked pointed his weapon and shot directly at my car. He saw my window was open and he shot right here. You can see the point of impact right there.
You can see white powder exploded on the hood of her car, windshield, and even engulfed the inside.
And I was sitting right there with my window open. A lot of it went inside of my car and on my face. I immediately felt it burning. I started throwing up.
You expressed some real concern about what is happening and the posture the federal government has taken at that facility. Why are you so worried about what's going on?
Well, let's start with they are firing rounds and gas in some cases, rubber bullets in other cases, at reporters. Let's start with that. Then let's go to just look at when you've got peaceful protesters. They're chanting. They're saying things that I'm sure ICE finds mean. But they're expressing themselves, their First Amendment rights. And what are they doing inside the ICE facility, up on, stanchions and above the fence line? They're firing down at them with these gas pellets and with these rubber bullets at peaceful protesters. There's even video of protesters showing up in the morning with their coffee cups, chanting, right? But they went and got coffee beforehand. They're not doing anything wrong. They're not throwing things, not even a sandwich, at an ICE officer. And instead, they get fired upon while they're standing there. This is not only causing mayhem on the ground, which is exactly what Donald Trump wants. It's his pretext for sending troops in. But it's also disrupting an entire village.
Am I right that the local police are now considering charges against some ICE agents, or have talked about this, right? I mean, there's also like a law enforcement challenge has now been brought on the local law enforcement officials in this area who now have to manage this.
And it's very unclear whether they actually can bring those charges, but they have talked to Illinois State Police and to the Attorney General's office. The reality is that there are private attorneys out there that are working, there are organizations, ACLU and others, who are working to bring lawsuits against ICE on behalf of individuals who have been fired upon. That is actually a very helpful thing for ICE to see, because while there are challenges with state and local law enforcement, going after criminal things that I would consider criminal activity by feds, the private lawyers are able to do much, much more.
Final question for you here is, what is the takeaway here about how you and the officials here and the mayor and everyone have sort of responded to these threats? What do you hope to see happen as the outcome here, and what are the takeaways for people right now, as he seems to be kind of, happened in Los Angeles, he's threatening other cities, you've been in the crosshairs as well?
Well, he's clearly going after multiple cities now at the same time, right? Portland and Chicago together. He went after Los Angeles. He's gone after Washington, D.C. This is all in an effort to militarize our cities. We stood together, our business community, our clergy, our nonprofit organizations, elected officials together, and some Republicans standing together in front of the camera to say, look at our beautiful city. We have challenges like other cities, but we're not even in the top 25 in terms of crime. So this really isn't about crime. And remember that we don't want you here. Go somewhere where they might invite you. But here in Chicago, here in the state of Illinois, we don't want you.
Illinois Governor J.B. Pritzker, thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to see you.